I was thinking this morning about Naaman, the military general from Aram, who went to see the prophet because of his tzara'at. And he heard there is a man of God in Israel, and he went to see Elisha. Elisha wouldn't see him, but he sent a messenger to tell him, go and dip in the Jordan River 7 times. And the general was resistant at first, but his servant girl encouraged him, and he went ahead and did it and was healed. And then he was in awe. He said, surely there is a living God in Israel. And he said some sort of a prayer. He said, well, may the God of Israel forgive me when I serve under my king and we go and pray at the temple. When I kneel down at his staff, may Adonai not hold it against me. And at first glance, it sounds like he has a conversion, right? You're thinking, he's getting it. There's a God in Israel and he doesn't, he's going to do the ritual, but in his heart, he's still going to serve and worship Adonai. But I'm thinking to myself this morning, that's kind of a weak sauce response, isn't it? You just been healed supernaturally, realize there is a God in Israel. And what he should have done is ask himself, well, if their God can do this, what else can he do? And what he should have done is say, how can I convert and become one of your people? Can I bring my family to join you and serve your God? That's what he should have done had he had a full-on conversion and complete faith. And I think it's very interesting because many people tend to have that halfway conversion. You realize there's a God in Israel, and you somewhat say you believe, but you're not wholeheartedly faithful to serve him, just like the general Naaman. And it is very sad for you because you just don't get it. See, Ruth was the contrary from the book of Ruth, the daughter-in-law of Naomi. Interestingly, Naaman and Naomi are very similar names. But Ruth said, your God will be my God, your people will be my people. She didn't have to see any miracle. She was just willing to forsake her pagan roots, her pagan people, and be grafted into Israel to serve the only living God. So it's interesting because many times as humans, I think, at least speaking for myself, we think that if somebody sees a miraculous sign, they will surely believe and be converted and observe Torah. But it just does not happen like that. It's not about seeing some miraculous sign, which is why Yeshua said, even if one rises from the dead, they will not believe. He said, they have Moshe and the prophets. Listen to them. It's not about miraculous signs, it's about the state of your heart. If you circumcise your heart, you will see and hear. But if you don't, you simply won't. So that general, yes, he kind of humbled himself, but he still didn't get it because if you remember, he wanted to pay for that miracle. He brought in like $2 million. Elisha told him to keep his money. And then he wanted to take some ground back with him, some dirt from the earth, from this holy place. But he wasn't willing to go all in. So let this be a message for some of you who are somewhat believe in God, but you're not all in. You're not willing to forsake whatever it is that you got going on, wherever it is that you come from, whatever culture or origin. You try to bring God back into where you are, but where you are is a pagan place, worshiping other gods. And you're trying to do what the Catholics did. Think about it. That's pretty much what they did. They brought in Jesus into their mess of polytheistic beliefs. And obviously, they didn't really bring Jesus. Yeshua does not belong to anyone. He comes from the seed of Judah, from the house of Israel. He belongs to the Creator, not to a certain culture, but he identified with that lineage as the one who represents him on earth. Not the Romans, not the Europeans, but Israel. But the Catholics took him and mixed him with their beliefs, which is how the Catholic Church was founded, the Universal Church. Which is why to this day they worship all kinds of gods. The sun god, hence Sunday. Ishtar, the pagan goddess of fertility, hence Easter. The winter solstice, which is another representation of the rebirth of the sun god, hence Christmas, December 25. And all kinds of statues and idols and saints. In the Jewish culture, there's no such thing as saints. You don't pray to dead people. But the Catholics do. Now, surely in modern day Judaism, they do that too, because they have been influenced after exile. They see the Romans and the Catholics do it, now they start doing it, praying to dead rabbis. That is an abomination. But if you go back to the root and you actually read the history of Israel, nobody was praying to dead people. They all prayed to the living God. But in Catholics and Mexicans do that. They have the Day of the Dead, Dia la Muerte, all of that paganized. It's not really paganized, it's pagan. Just all kind of crazy stuff. And they try to believe in God. When what they should have done is what I said. Forsake their paganism. Come to the Lord and say, how can we join? What must I do to serve the only living God? And that's what you should do. Yeshua said, if anybody wish to follow me, pick up their cross, deny themselves daily, and follow me. You forsake this world behind and the things of it, be it your family, your heritage. He said, if someone loves their father, mother, brother, sister, even their own life more than me, they're not worthy of me. He used the word hate, which means reject. If you do not reject your family, you're not worthy of me. Because you're holding on to things. Now you're polluting the faith. It's no longer him, it's him plus something else. Someone else. And it just does not work. The Lord is a jealous God. He made you alone, only him. The Lord is one. So why do you pollute his table? By saying there is more than one. Oh, there is also saint this and saint that. There is also this statue. There's also that woman, right? Catholics, Mary. What does she have to do with anything? The Lord is one, Adonai, Elohim. Nothing about the worship of a woman in scripture. That's the pagan goddesses, fertility goddesses, the feminine worship. That's not what the Creator does. But you just like Naaman. And as a matter of fact, you're kind of worse than him. Because at least he said, when I do these things, forgive me. You're not asking for forgiveness. You think what you're doing is right. God help you. You better wake up and snap out of that pagan rituals and pagan belief systems and give yourself wholeheartedly to God before your judgment is sealed. Because that day is coming. The Lord is just. He cannot ignore you doing all these paganized things and not penalize you. You've been warned.